Look at that. And just like that, we are back once again. We are live for another RCS Live. As always, Nate Mumford, Director of Sales Engineering, alongside Dawn Newberry, our traffic specialist over here, doing our Aquira Back to Basics series, right? Talking everything about Aquira, from adding a client, adding a contract. And today, we're going to talk about Zetta's live log as well as reconciliation as well. As always, we have our chat open over here. Do you have any questions for Dawn or myself? You can feel free to chime in over there. If you want to check out past videos of our Aquira Back to Basics series, that would be on our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live. That is our archive, over 150 videos of how-tos, tips, and tricks, and all that good stuff. It's free. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn. If there's something else you want us to broadcast live on, let us know. And as I said, I have the chat open here as well. Some great resources for you. That's all about education for you and your team. And speaking of education, huge shout out to Annabella and the CBI crew over there, the 2026 Student Media Leadership Workshop. That's going to be on July 20th to 23rd. Registration's open right now. Loves working with CBI. It's always a great event over there. They do such a good job of just, again, colleges, students, and universities learning radio. And it's just, I can't say enough great things about them. We're proud to be a sponsor of that as well. That's the 2026 Student Media Leadership Workshop, CBI, the college broadcasters. If you want to check out more information, that's askcbi.org. And they're just phenomenal over there. Love working with them too. So, love education, right? As you know, a big believer of, how do you know how to do something if no one told you it existed in the first place? Right, Dawn? So Let's dive into it. Speaking of things that we don't know about, let's dive into the Zetta live log utilizing Aquira Sync. How does that work?
So it's just that, the sync tool. It's a tool that kind of sits in the middle between Aquira and Zetta, and I have it up here, and it's constantly running. It's constantly looking for media, audio, logs, and any changes to any of those. And you'll see it just keeps running. One of the things that it processes is media. And here in Creative and Media in Aquira, this is Aquira, I put in the spot. It has the name, it has the duration. I've copied the script in here, and it's got dates. Once I get that information into Aquira, the sync tool runs and brings it over here into Zetta. Puts it as a placeholder if it's a recorded piece of audio. This happens to be a live spot, but it brought the name, brought the cart number, brought the duration. And when you jump in here, you see that it brought the script over as well, and the date. So if anything changes in Aquira, because it does give you that live log, if I change the name of this spot, if I change the duration, anything I change, it will automatically update in Zetta. And
this is, sorry, go, keep going.
I was going to say, if it was an actual audio piece, it does sit as a placeholder. But another cool feature is, once that audio is dropped into the placeholder in Zetta, Zetta then talks back to Aquira here and says, hey, I've put audio into that, and it checks that as recorded so that traffic knows, okay, that spot is complete and done. I know it should air tomorrow. So that's a cool feature there.
And just to remind, because we're doing the back to basics here, right? So the idea is that we added the client, we add the contract, we're adding the media. These are all things that with Zetta and the Aquira Sync, that allows us to have that kind of live log, but also that some of that live integration with that piece of media and that metadata as well.
Right. And the other thing is, of course, the actual log. So here's today's log. All you have to do is do your log. When you're finished with it, you just hit published. Mm-hmm. Once you hit published, it sends that log over to Zetta. And this is today's log here.
And just to confirm, if we wanted to do like live log changes, so right now it's what, 11:06, 11:07. If we wanted to do a change at 3 o'clock today, not only we can do that, but we would just go back into the 3 o'clock hour and just republish that hour.
Well, actually, I'm going to make a change to today's log.
I jumped at it.
That's okay. I hit edit so that the log is in edit. I kept it as published. This is 6:20. I've seen that there are some voice clashes here that I want to change on my Aquira log. Over here is the 6:20 break with those spots. I'm just going to drag this spot down into the 6:20 break in Aquira. If I just hit save and continue, it'll take it. I think this one is set to 10 seconds. I think that you can set the time that it takes for changes. But in about 10 seconds, we should see it move down.
Yep. There you go. Boom.
So that happens. And then all I have to do is hit save. If I had a contract that came in today that was to run, say, 7 to midnight, put the contract in, put them on the log, and then they'll do the same thing. They'll just magically appear in Zetta. So that's pretty cool.
Magically appear. Our dev team is like, what magically appeared?
Yeah.
That's what we built that tool for.
Right. And one cool thing too, if the spot is live, I do like to point that out, that the talent just sees it as alive, and then they're going to come over here and the script has already been sent over. So you can get rid of that. You know, a lot of people still have the copybook.
Yeah.
So rid of that. So that's
cool. Remind me, where's that script in Acquire again?
I have dropped it into that actual piece of audio here. I just copied and pasted what I was sent from the sales rep. I just copied it, pasted in there, saved it, and it shows up in Zetta.
And this is, by the way, this is the media section. If you notice her navigation on below, she just collapsed the navigation on the left for visual purposes. So we're working in media. We're adding media to this. Yep. Thank you. And then under the script instructions, that's where she's adding that script that she's copying, pasting in, throwing in the media from there.
Yep.
Awesome. And yes, all the details are on there. I said the metadata is in there. And if we change that script, we'd essentially edit the media, change the script, save it. That gets sent back over as well. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So all of this essentially is as we're working, when we have our Zetta system, they actually work in sync. So as you can see, what Dawn's doing here is she's editing the log first. When it's ready to go for tomorrow, whatever it is, she's locking it, marking it as published. And then if we need to edit the published log, we go into it, we mark it for editing, we make the changes, we hit save. That save trigger tells the Aquira sync tool with Zetta that when it runs the next task to make those log changes, metadata changes into your Zetta log, all that's done automatically.
Yep. It's a
great
pretty
stuff.
process. Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool to have that feature.
And then for reconciliation right now, we're going to have a flat file reconciliation just for ease of use on our end. So Zetta will go and send that recon file to the destination. Acquire will pick that up and go to recon that. We always like to give you little tidbits and teases here. So if you're curious about some fun stuff we're doing in Acquire, wouldn't it be great if we have some reconciliation there too? And maybe that could be coming down the pipeline. I'm not one to say, but maybe there might be a cool feature with some bidirectionality there too. So as I always like to give little breadcrumbs on these RCS lives, Dawn.
Yeah, and that is a huge possibility that you could get that, grip time reconciliation. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if that was the thing? I love it. So speaking of reconciliation, let's dive into the reconciliation portion of this.
So as you said, the flat file is just brought over overnight currently for any automation system. The sync tool, the live log is just of course, just with Zetta. But the flat file will come over for any automation system, and then you'll come in, traffic would come in the next day into my reconciliations, and I can see really quickly that yesterday's log, nothing was unreconciled. So that was all copacetic and happy, and all I have to do is just mark that as reconciled, and that one's done.
And just clarify again, because I know we talked a lot about on other past videos, which are available on our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live, is the when you want that number to be 0, because if it's not 0, there's a couple trickle down things from the accounting perspective, right, Dawn?
Right. Like, excuse me, like this log here, it shows it has 5 unreconciled spots. So when the file was brought over, there was some things that were not in agreement with the automation. And as a traffic manager or whoever reconciles your logs, I'm going to want to go in and address those.
Mm-hmm.
When I go in, go ahead.
No, please go.
I can see that these did not play. There is an exceptions tab that will come over, an exceptions report that will come over with that file that will tell you if there were some issues, like these are lives. Of course, I don't have anyone doing it, so they weren't reconciled, which if they check that box off in Zetta, it would come back as reconciled, which is cool because you have the ability to reconcile live spots.
And that's the marked as played in the notes module in Zetta.
I know it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, they're all good. I'm here. Let's fill it in. Keep going. Sorry.
And if there were some that were played but not scheduled, you'll see that. Some, and maybe, somebody inserted a spot that was not on the log. It might come back as that. Or if you have spots that just did not air. So you'll have that exceptions report to look at.
You make a really good point, by the way. Let's make a note of a user drags a spot in. So it's very important to note, especially for just on the Zetta users as well. A lot of traffic systems have a log ID that's associated with that, right? Because when you think of the workflow, if I am Dawn and I am in charge of billing and invoicing and charging a client, and I'm saying that they paid for this spot at this time, there's a sense of I am telling everyone that we're playing this spot and we're going to charge for this spot. If it's me, I'm Nate live in the studio and I'm like, oh, that's a TurboTax spot. I'm going to drag it out and, oh, you know what? I forgot to do it. I'll drag it back in. That is technically the live human user saying, don't play that paid spot that Dawn told me to run. And when I drag in my own copy of that spot, it's not going to be the same log event ID in there. So just be very careful how you handle commercial traffic in the radio world. In the Zetta world, we treat our spot blocks with like white gloves. There's a lot of behaviors and settings associated with it. But that's one really important to note, especially in reconciliation, right? So we have that log ID that carries over. This is not something you can just kind of drag in, because I always tell users, I know that kind of feels like, well, wait, I played the spot, what's going on here? But think of the opposite approach. What if I was doing something a little sketchy and all of a sudden I dragged in 15 spots from Nate's restaurant? Wait a second. Dawn has no idea I'm billing for Nate's restaurant, right? So all of a sudden there's some little bit of shady business going on over there too. So that's why we have those protections in place from a log and user perspective. Sorry, I went on a tangent. Keep going.
That's okay. But I do need to address all these spots in order to reconcile it, because as we know, the invoicing comes from the reconciliation. So we want that to be right. This one says, for instance, it played outside of a time range. It was a 6 to 10. It played at 10:40. Maybe I know that this client is going to be fine with that and I can bill them for that. I would want to, in this instance, give it a reason. And these are customized reasons that are set up when your database is set up. And I'm just going to say it's manually reconciled. Once I do that, you'll see that it marked it as reconciled and active. If it's active, it's going to be billed.
And just a fun fact, there is a setting inside of Zetta, which is, do you want to mark the reconciliation as scheduled airtime or as played airtime? So for example, if you have a spot or something that was scheduled to air at 9:59 and it aired at 10:01, there's a setting in Zetta you can define that, just so you know.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
These technically from the traffic world, if that violates the day part, we got to address it accordingly. I'm just letting you know there's a little setting in Zetta.
And, you can also set up parameters in Aquira, within a certain time frame. If it's 5 minutes, just tell me it was reconciled. If it's 2 minutes, so you have that setting as well, so that it would come back as reconciled in that case. Here, this one was not played, so I can address this in here. I can do several things. I can deactivate it, which in my mind is delete. That would just totally delete it. If I want to make it good because it didn't air, I can do that. It will come up on the next available day, but I can choose a day that I may want to put that on. And then again, these are the customized reasons, maybe technical issues and it didn't air, whatever it might be. And you can hit OK. And now while it has kept it on here and reconciled it, it has moved it to that day on the 14th to air.
And that's because, again, for the spot lines, which once again, if you went out past videos of our Back to Basics series, again, that's rcsworks.com/rcs-live. We talk about some of that stuff like the spot line. So the idea, again, here we're saying is this spot is supposed to get 10 spins at an X number dollar rate. This spin wasn't played. So you're telling the system, make good on that spot line by essentially moving it to a new spot line.
Right. Absolutely. And here on this one, if I find out later, maybe there was a problem, but it actually did play, we have an option here that's transferred air details. It lets you transfer the schedule time and make it show as the air time if you found out that was correct. And then on this one, this was left in bumps on that day. Aquira is going to bring, and this is kind of interesting, and it's a good point. Aquira is going to bring back on the recon even spots that were on the bumps, because Aquira is going to reconcile every spot that was scheduled for that day. So it's going to see here, it was not scheduled, so it didn't air, and I can make it good or move it from here. Same process, or I can do that on the log. But again, it's going to reconcile every spot that is on a day, even if it's in the unscheduled. And then once I have reconciled and I'm good with all those, then I just mark it as reconciled and it's good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something, I forget what it was. I keep forgetting, but clarification on my little Zetta point about the timestamp, that's for hour restrictions. I should put a little disclaimer on there. So if I have let's say a spot that was not to play after 10 a.m. for an hour restriction, I can do a scheduled time versus air time and all that stuff. And remember, we are working here with money and invoicing. So in case you're new to the industry and you're learning traffic or automation or all the above, these, if you can tell, these are very intentional steps, because at the end of the month, we're going to go and say that, hey, on this day, I played all these spots. There was no issues. Everything was reconciled correctly. And so when I close my books for the month, the idea there is that everything is pristine and looking good. We do have some users that have, either audited or they're government entities or whatever it is. So I get to be the bad cop here and kind of say certain things like, remember, this is money. This is invoicing. This is your books. This is your reporting. So let's make sure we're buttoned up in a lot of these processes, right? It's kind of one of those things where, I'll just mark this as played. Be very careful with that type of workflow. I'm just warning you now. It's one of those things where I've had some users like, I've never had an issue. And I'm like, really? You've never had an issue with this agency asking you for whatever it was? No, never. And then like a week later, I got a phone call. Hey, they're asking about that one spot that I did that. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So
yeah,
just disclaimer, doing our due diligence here, right? That's that log ID when I drag it by hand versus Dawn, the traffic manager, sending that log across. Just building best practices here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always a good idea to make sure your money is right.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else with the reconciliation, Dawn, before I forget?
That's really it. You can have these little things if you're looking at all your logs at the end of the month, to quickly see which ones are not reconciled, so you can address those before you close the month. As you said, that's something you want to address.
And for those who are new, we typically do what the process is like on a 9 to 5. The next morning, we usually do the reconciliation, right, as part of your everyday work.
Yes, hopefully they do go in and do it every day. I know some people will do it every couple of days, but if you do it every day, you're going to be able to, because if you have Zetta and you have the sync tool, if I go into yesterday and I'm on today, I can actually move that spot to today and save that revenue and go ahead and clean it up and get it out of the way.
Random question for you, a philosophical traffic manager question. I'm channeling my own old traffic girl, Amanda. Shout out to Amanda. Front loading spots slash the idea that, you have your inventory, you want to get things out of the way. So like if you're doing daily reconciliation, you can see that at 9 a.m. I had a spot from yesterday that was at like 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. that did not play. I could go and make good on those for today, right? So the idea that I can get those out of the way because my inventory from a Thursday or Friday or Saturday perspective might start to build up and I might be oversold, leading to those spots getting stuck because I'm not being on top of my reconciliation. Thoughts on that? Like, do you like to front load your stuff? How do you like to handle that?
Well, I was just going to say, we're going to make you a traffic manager, Nate, because you got it down. But yes, that's a great idea, to just go ahead, clean it up as soon as you can. And because you do have that live log ability, I can take tomorrow's spots, like you said, missed, make them today. And I don't have to worry about the fact that, oh gosh, I got to work that spot into my oversold. Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Well, as we said, any last questions for Dawn or myself? We'll do a little kind of a closure here, as we're saying. So let's see here. Greg, you got any questions? Let me know. I'm over here. Dawn's here as well. As I said, we're doing this Back to Basics series. We have some more invoicing coming in about 2 weeks or so. So if you're curious about past videos, you can check out our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live. Doing this whole series. We write up, each one of these videos has a little write-up by myself. We throw it online for you. You can watch it on YouTube if you want to. Go to rcsworks.com. That will give you more of a write-up. So if you're curious about past videos on Aquira, there's a little search function there. Type in Aquira, whatever it is. And then you can also read about the video and say, hey, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or, ooh, that's not what I'm looking for. And if you're looking for other videos or tips or tricks, all of that stuff, if you're curious about, looking for automation back to basics or music scheduling, let us know. We're always here to help you out. You can email live@rcsworks.com, email marketing@rcsworks.com. There's a whole bunch of avenues. Find us on socials, whatever. We'll get you in touch and make sure we take care of you over there too. So, Dawn, thank you so much. This is so helpful. Part of our Back to Basics series. And we'll see you again in probably about 2 weeks. All right?